This looks so
Stop! Don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. Okay, so today we are talking about the truth about saving yourself for marriage, because me and my wife here, that's what we did. We saved ourselves for marriage. We were virgins on our honeymoon night, and gosh, it was such a disaster. I mean, you had no idea what you were doing.
Well, you got made fun of all in high school, and I just wish you would have been like everybody else. Like, I wanted to marry someone that's like everybody else.
I know. I actually stood out from my friends, and I was like unique, and it was just so lame. But I mean, really, it came down to you. You had. I mean, I just wish you had more experience. Like, I wish you had been with like a million other guys.
Okay, that's good.
All right, just kidding, guys. Obviously, we are just joking. Saving ourselves for marriage was one of the best decisions I think that we ever made, right? Mm-hmm. And in this video, we're going to talk about why we decided to save ourselves for marriage, and maybe some things that you could consider if you're thinking about saving yourself for marriage. So the number one reason that we wanted to save ourselves for marriage was to obey God. Because, you know, we really... Because how do you expect to be blessed in that area of your life if you aren't obeying God and you're not living that area like He expects us to? So that was really the number one reason for both of us, right? I mean, that was my reason.
Yeah, that was my number one. I have a lot of reasons, but that was the first one, I'd say.
Yeah, so that was number one.
Second reason we decided to save ourselves for marriage was to guard our hearts, because I feel like if you are dating someone and you do decide to have sex with them, it's like tying you to that person in a way that you can never get back. You know, you can never take it back. And I just feel like when you break up, which happens a lot at a young age, you know, breaking up, getting new boyfriends, new girlfriends, you feel so devastated. Like, I just remember my friends in school being so upset about breakups. And whenever I went through a breakup, it was like, yeah, it was a little upsetting, but I just knew that God had someone better out there for me. And I don't know, I think it's because I didn't have that bond with who I was with.
Yeah, there's really something about, you know, the words "to become one flesh." It's like really true. There's something about being intimate with someone in that way that you really become like tied to that person spiritually, and it seems like you're one in one way or the other. And when you guys break up, especially, it seems to be this way for girls, that they're just so much more attached and such a harder heartbreak. It's
more than a physical connection. I think for girls, it's like very emotional.
So number third reason that we did this was... The number three reason that we did this was because we really wanted to become the person that we are looking for, you know, so it was a big desire in my heart for my wife to be a virgin. I didn't want her to have been with anyone else. That was just how I felt and my desires. So I was like, if I want that, if I want to attract that into my life, then I should become that. So that was a big motivator for me, is because I figured, you know, if she was saving herself, then she probably wanted me to do the same thing.
The fourth reason that we did this is because it's just really special to save yourself and to know that, you know, you're only sharing this moment with one other person. And it's also, from my experience in college and in high school, all my friends were like, if they ever asked me about that and I told them that I was a virgin, it was always like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. It was never like, what? Like, that's so dumb. I don't think anyone ever made me feel bad about it. It was always like it was a cool thing, like made me stand out from everyone else. And I don't know, nobody ever gave me like any negative feelings towards it.
Yeah, so and that's just so big. If you're hanging around friends who make you feel lame or not cool for saving yourself for marriage, then you need some new friends. You really need to be surrounding yourself with people who think that's awesome and who think that's so cool. And that kind of brings us to our next point, is that you really need to own your virginity. I see so many times. There was an episode of The Bachelor.
Yes, he watches it.
Yeah, so there was an episode of The Bachelor this past year where one of the guys was like, he was so ashamed to admit that he had never slept with another girl before, and the girl was acting like it was like it could have been a deal breaker. Cut that. I mean, anyone, if you're around anyone who thinks it's lame, you need to just cut them out of your life, because it's one of the coolest things. It's so special. And you definitely will not be able to continue to save yourself if you're around people who are not supporting that, or it'll make it a lot more difficult.
Another reason it's special is because by saving yourself for one person, you literally have nothing else to compare them to. Like, you're not going to have to do that in your head.
Yeah, it's just like when the time comes when you are married one day and you can share that with that special someone, you're not going to have thoughts in your mind of past experiences and thinking like, oh, well, she did this or he did this and now this person doesn't do this, or vice versa. It really keeps your mind clean and pure.
Another reason to save yourself for marriage is because you won't regret it. I don't think I've ever met anyone who did save themselves who ever said like, oh, that was so bad. Like, I wish I would have just had all this experience and gone into this knowing what I was doing. It's like you get to learn together and experience it together.
So we understand that a lot of you watching this, you may not be a virgin, and we're not saying that we're any better because we saved ourselves for marriage and you didn't. But what we will say is that it's never too late to recommit yourself to saving yourself for marriage if you're not married yet, to re-virginize yourself.
That's a new word.
Yeah, to really just renew that commitment and say, you know what, I may have done this in the past, but I believe this is what God wants for my life, and I'm gonna make a commitment to do this until I get married.
So we're gonna give you a few practical ways to not give into temptation.
Yes, we call them guardrails, or we actually heard this terminology from Andy Stanley, one of the pastors that we listened to online. Guardrails, which are, you set up certain guardrails in your life to protect you from not going into danger zones that you do not want to be in. So what are some guardrails that we set up for ourselves and failed?
One of them, one guardrail that we think is a good idea is to not sleep in the same bed together. Yeah,
that's a big one. Even beyond that, guardrails are set up to prevent you from even coming close to doing what you're not supposed to be doing. So even you have to find whatever that is for you. That might mean not being alone together, because as soon as you get alone together, it leads to one thing to the next, and all of a sudden you're doing things that you don't want to be doing.
But another guardrail is to make sure that you and your partner have this talk before it ever even comes to be a consideration. Like, I feel like if you talk about it before you get in the situation, then it's already kind of a known fact. It's established, like, we're not going to go there. Because for us, we both knew, that we were saving ourselves, and it really never even
That was like our first conversation.
Up. Yeah, that came up in our first conversation, but after that, I mean, like, it wasn't an option. We never even like got close or anything.
Yeah. And if you find yourself where you're scared of bringing this up to whoever you're with, that might be a sign that you're not with the right person, because you got to understand that the person that you're with has to be on the same page as you, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to be on the same page as each other, or else you don't stand a chance. If one of you guys are like really wanting to have sex before marriage and the other one's not, you will typically end up doing it because it's just easier to go that route. So this is a very difficult path. It's not easy at all. Very, very challenging for sure. But it's very rewarding. And so those are the guardrails that really helps prevent people from having sex before marriage. It sounds extreme, but you got to do extreme things to achieve extreme goals. Not being alone together, not sleeping in the same bed, and obviously things like not touching, not being sexual in other ways, because obviously, doing all that stuff is going to get you where you don't want to be.
The only thing you'll miss out on by not saving yourself for marriage is potential regret. Just imagine yourself getting married one day. Just imagine having that talk with them and being able to tell them, like, I waited for you and I saved myself for you. It just feels so good to be able to say that and to know that that's true. And then I know that you have high hopes that they did the same thing.
Yeah, and just it'll be so worth it. I'm just here to encourage you that it'll be tough in the moment, but when that day comes, you will be so happy, so worth it. And well, like I said earlier, if you are with someone who is not on the same page as that, or you are surrounding yourself with people who are not supporting that goal and that dream of yours, you need to change the people you're with, because the best kind of people, and the way that I did it and the way that Sutton did it, was being around people who thought that was cool. You know, you should.
People that are going to build you up and encourage you, not bring you down with them.
Yeah. So that's the truth about saving yourself for marriage. We are so happy that we did it, right?
Right.
That we didn't do it. We can't encourage all of you enough to save yourself for marriage. If you have already given your virginity away, to recommit yourself.
Start today.
Yeah, and if you like these kind of videos, please subscribe to our channel below. Hit that little bell button so you'll be notified every time that we put out a new video. And if you like these kind of videos, let us know. Comment below with what you think about this topic and share your thoughts with us. And we will see you soon.